Hai, Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda bersama dengan saya Izzah Izlan dalam agenda awani, dan hari ini kita bersiaran daripada PNB Ilham di Tanjung Tuan, Port Dickson bersempena dengan acara Raptor Watch 2014 yang sedang dianjurkan bermula hari ini dan juga esok 9 Mac 2014. Dan pada hari ini kita akan bincangkan bagaimana migrasi burung dan hobi untuk bird watching itu sendiri bersama dengan mereka yang pakar dalam minat dan memang betul-betul berminat dengan hobi ini. Dan bersama dengan saya untuk membincangkan dengan perkara ini dengan lebih lanjut adalah pengurusi Majlis Pemeliharaan Burung ataupun MNS Bird Conservation Council Chairman, iaitu Lim Aun Tiah, dan juga rakannya koordinator kumpulan burung cawangan Selangor, iaitu Mark Ng. Selamat datang ke agenda awal ni. Okey, dan saya akan bercakap dengan bahasa Inggeris agar lebih difahami. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about the bird migration first of all, and before that, I want to ask you guys how you start liking this Raptor Watch. Maybe I can start with you, Mr. Lim.
Well, for me, bird watching started more than 20 years ago.
Wow.
I started catching birds, the merbok, put them into a cage and then send them for competition. That's how I became associated with birds. And then later on, I realized that putting birds in cage is not a very good thing. So I turned to bird watching. You just watch them, you enjoy the plumage, you don't catch and imprison them.
Yep, true. Watch them fly freely.
Yes.
And what about you, Mark?
Actually, watching raptors are very challenging. There may be only one species, but within that species, there are so many different types of pattern. And if you study them longer, you can differentiate the male, female, juveniles, different moth like dark moth, pale moth. So that's why it's very challenging. Within one species, many different designs and patterns on your mapping.
And you know about all this through experience, or do you study prior to joining, or how?
Well, experience.
We go, as we go along, field experience is very important. We have to get our knowledge from the books first. But reading books alone not enough. You have to combine with actual field experience, spending hours in the field watching them and try to relate what you see in the books.
The other thing is sharing your experience with others who have seen other things that are different. Like this example in this event, there are some people from other countries and they also share what they see, and it might be different from what we see. So we share and gain further knowledge on the birds.
This is actually a very niche hobby because you don't see a lot of people indulging in this.
Yes.
They would prefer golf or something else, like sports, go-kart and stuff. And I've only heard about this when I watched that movie, like I told you, The Big Year, like a few years back.
Yes,
and to find that there are actually enthusiasts such as yourselves to actually invest so much in this hobby is very fascinating. So what made you willing to invest so much to travel, and you actually stay here for a few weeks, right?
Yes, we say up to a month here in Tanjung. At Tanjung, up to a month.
So what is the push actually?
Well, speaking for myself, I enjoy the plumage, the beautiful colors and attractiveness of birds in the wild. And then going one step further to raptors, birds of prey. Birds of prey, they represent the most powerful of the bird family.
The birds, yeah.
They are very powerful. They are hunters, and they are very good with their eyesight. They catch their prey just as quickly as in the blink of an eye. So to me, that represents the apex of power. And that's how I became so captivated with raptors.
Okay, and when we talk about birds of prey, which is raptors, some people think that these raptors can actually kill humans. What do you have to say about that?
Actually, they don't. They are quite nervous of human beings because sometimes in the migration path, they are being shot at, right? And there's a lot of misunderstanding about raptors. In fact, raptors is a very good indication of how healthy the environment is. That's another reason why both of us are very passionate about this event, because we talk about conservation of the environment, talk about conservation of the forest, and this is an area where the birds, if they come in late in the evening, it provides a place for them to rest before they start the journey again the next day.
Okay, so we would like to know more about the bird migration and how it happens, and Tanjung Tuan itself as a destination and a stopover for these birds, for these raptors. But we have to go for a break. Jangan ke mana, kita akan kembali seketika nanti. Bertemu kembali dalam agenda awal ini dan kita masih lagi membincangkan tentang Raptor Watch 2014 dan sekarang ni saya nak tanya kepada tetamu kita mengenai migrasi burung. Okay, Mark, can you explain a bit about the bird migration in a very simple language for our audience?
Okay. Right now, today, we are looking at spring migration, which means the birds are migrating from here back north to where they come from. Could be Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and they breed there. Then come to October, they come back here again, and that's what we call autumn migration. So it's a two-way migration for them. And Tanjung Tuan is the spot where they pass by on the way back north. Right?
Okay, so how would you describe Tanjung Tuan as a stopover, a perfect stopover for these raptors?
Tanjung Tuan is only one of a series of many stopovers for birds of prey, such as the oriental honey buzzard.
That we saw just now.
Yes, they start off in, say, Japan. They travel all the way to mainland China, down to Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia. Eventually, they land somewhere in Malaysia, and a lot go over to Sumatra. When it comes to spring migration, as we are now doing it, they are going in a reverse flow. So Tanjung Tuan is only one out of many spots of
So they do
migration
stops.
along the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is an important stopover as well as a place for them to pass through. But it's not the only one.
What makes a stopover a stopover? Like, what sort of environment is it? The ecosystem. What are they looking for?
Oh, one thing is it's forested.
Okay.
Here in Tanjung Tuan, you have the coastal forest, which is very important because sometimes when the bird come across the straits, they are very tired, and sometimes when we do the count, we can see the bird actually diving down straight into the tree and rest because they cannot fly anymore. What happens is when they fly over the water, there's no hot air, so they have to flap a lot, and when they flap a lot, they use a lot of energy. And when they hit the land, there's hot air, and that pushes the bird up again into the sky, and they fly off.
Because of the
Yes,
thermal.
of the thermal,
Okay.
and so they catch the thermal and they go up in height, and then they fly off. That's how they conserve energy. They don't flap so much.
Okay, so what are some of the species that we can see here in Tanjung Tuan? Species of raptors.
Yes, the main migratory species that we see here is the oriental honey buzzard. They make up 95% of the raptors that we count annually here. Then the other species are the Japanese sparrowhawk, the Chinese goshawk, the grey-faced buzzard, black buzzer, and occasionally a few peregrine falcons.
Okay, about 5 species.
Yes,
So the most common one is the honey
yes,
buzzard.
that's the honey buzzard.
Okay, is there a specific reason why it is the most common, or is this how nature
It's
works?
just where we observe that the number of, from the 10 years of observation, we see that this is the most number that we see. Reason why, we don't really know yet.
You have done, Lim, you have done this for so many years already, right? In fact, you are one of the pioneers of this Raptor Watch, right? And now it's coming into
14th year.
its 14th year. Okay, so from the first year that you have observed until today, do you see a change of the numbers of raptors coming over? Is it an increase or a decrease, or is it just a graph?
Well, it's a bit difficult to say because over the past 10 or 12 years of records that we have been keeping, we see some erratic movements in the total numbers of raptors. Some years they go high, and some other years you see a dip. As to the reason, we are still not very sure. It is at this moment speculation as to whether damage to the environment over in the Sumatra Peninsula, whether that plays a part or not, we don't know. Another factor could be climate change. As a result of haze, this year we can say for certain, as compared to last year, there is a slight drop.
Slight drop, huh? Okay, so the ecosystem actually plays an important role
Yep.
to the number of raptors coming over, right?
Yes. Now sometimes the wind condition also determines where the bird crosses. Sometimes they are halfway crossing the strait and get blown off course, and they may be going maybe 5 miles north of here or 5 miles south of here. And this is where we miss out some of the birds that don't come across.
Yes.
And sometimes that is another reason why sometimes the count can be very low because they are away from our sight or our
Okay.
angle of sight.
But they still do travel.
They
it's
will
just
still
that.
travel, yes, yes.
How fast do they travel? These vultures.
Well, it's just at the moment estimate. We know that the Straits of Malacca between Pulau Rupat and Tanjung Tuan, that is the narrowest point. It's about 40 kilometers.
Yeah.
And we have 1 year made arrangement for somebody at Pulau Rupat to call us and say that they have seen a group of honey buzzards just left the Pulau Rupat. So we waited, and about an hour later, we saw this group, more or less the same group in terms of numbers. So we were pretty sure that it was the same group. So if it is an hour, then we estimate that their average travel speed crossing the strait is about 40 to 45 kilometers
per hour.
depending on the wind condition again.
Okay. So, what are some of the equipments that one would need to indulge in this hobby?
Well, if it's only bird watching, it's just a binoculars.
Binoculars.
That's all. That's good enough. Yeah.
If it's raptor watching, it's different.
It's same.
It's the same.
Raptor watching, bird watching, just the binoculars. But of course, there are also some photographic enthusiastic which will use cameras, nice, powerful cameras. We use them as well, and we use them sometimes when there are lots of birds coming over. We take snapshots of the bird. Later in the evening, we look at it again and try to identify the birds by sexes, male, female, juvenile.
And that takes experience, right, to tell
yes, yes.
from afar. Okay, so basically, we will go on for a break, but after this, I want to talk to you guys about how this hobby can actually help conserve
Okay.
the bird population here. Okay, jangan ke mana-mana, kita akan berhenti seketika, kita akan teruskan perbincangan kita selepas ini. Bertemu kembali dalam agenda ini dan saya masih lagi dengan Lim Aun Tiah dan juga Mark Eng menceritakan tentang Raptor Watch 2014 dan saya akan bertanyakan dengan mereka mengenai pemeliharaan burung melalui hobi ini. Okay, Ms. Mark, maybe you can tell a bit about the processes of counting the birds.
Okay. First of all, what we need to do is spot the bird. And sometimes we are lucky the bird come over very low. And without the binoculars, we can already count them.
How?
By just using a clicker and just look and count. There are certain birds that come in a big flock, like the black bazaars or the Chinese goshawk or the Japanese sparrowhawk. And when they come in a group, we do an estimate. We break them into clusters, 50, 50, 50, 50. And the biggest cluster we have ever counted is 2,500 birds in one flock.
Wow. But they are actually flying around, right? So how do you know you're not counting the same
Right,
one?
very good question. When they are doing the thermal, they mix around, so you cannot count them. You double count them. So the action of this bird is when they reach a certain height, they will fly off. As they fly off in a straight row. So as they fly off, you count them. Yes.
That's very interesting. So that's when they leave Tanjung Tuan, right?
Yes, or live wherever they are thermaling. This is called thermaling when they
okay.
go up in the hot air. Yeah.
So how do you find that experience? Like, do you find joy in like seeing like how many birds you count and everything?
Yeah, as Mark said, counting birds is only one aspect because it adds to your knowledge of what's happening to the numbers and the population.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you are watching raptors, you try to sex a bird, whether it's a female or a male, whether
how
it's
do you
a
know?
young.
How do you tell?
And that sexing and the aging of the bird gives you another dimension into the world of raptors. What's happening there? What's the mixture? This year, is it because more males? What happened to female? We have to answer. We hope we can answer those questions when we have enough data.
Yeah. So you're planning to collect the data?
Oh, we have been collecting.
You've
and
been collecting.
We try to. We haven't reached the answer yet because it's still too early.
So what is the tip, for noobs who actually want to join? Like, what is the how do you know which one is male, which one is female, like, or how young or how old?
quick one, because
Okay.
even those who are very experienced, sometimes we argue whether it's a first winter, second winter bird. But as far as male and female is concerned, the male has got a very dark edge on the tail and a very dark band on the edge of the wings,
Okay.
whereas the female doesn't have that. So that where's a very quick way of seeing whether it's a male and female. And then the juvenile, which is not fully adult yet, has got very nondescript marking, and their head is usually very pale compared to the adults.
So have any of you actually traveled out of Malaysia for raptor watching?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Where to?
We have gone to Thailand, to a place known as Chumpon.
Chumpon.
Yep.
It is just along the isthmus of Kra, a narrow strip of land. And all the birds that come down during autumn migration, moving south, passes to Chumpon. So we go there and we get good views. We do very accurate counts as well.
Do they have like the same species who travel here in Tanjung Town, or they have different?
They have similar species, but they have more species because they are further north. They do occasionally see what we call Amo falcon, which is on the way to India, and we don't see them here at all. You know, these are the things that we go and see because we don't see them here. In fact, we have been going there for 5 years now, every year.
Every year.
Yep.
So do you have a full schedule of raptor watching throughout the year? What is it like? Can you share with me?
Basically, migration season. Spring migration is when they go north, is between February and April. Autumn migration is between late September and December. That's when they're coming down south.
So on a serious note, on a more serious note, I know this is something that's fun, but I know that it actually also contributes to the conservation of birds, because as we know, the ecosystem and even the species of the birds are getting destroyed. So what is your take on this hobby on a more important scale as to conserve the nature?
Okay. My take is that when a person is interested in doing this bird watching or raptor watching, first of all, to help conservation, what this event like here today helps the public to be more aware of what's going on. And we also have NGOs that's talking about the importance of conserving the forest. Why? Because if we don't do that, birds may not come back this way again. They might find a different route, one. Two, they might not find appropriate routes. So awareness of what's going on is very important for the general public, so that they can bear more voice in terms of conservation, in terms of preserving what's left of our forests.
Lim?
Yes, generally I agree with Mark. And I would only add that the main reason why we continue to hold Raptor Watch every year is to increase public awareness of the importance of this coastal forest at Tanjung Tuan. So that if ever, and I hope not, if ever there is any move by the authorities to develop Tanjung Tuan, we hope that with the increased awareness of the importance of Tanjung Tuan for raptor migration, then there will be enough opinion and objection to persuade the authorities to reconsider any such plans.
And so far you have been getting enough support from the authorities?
Oh yes, very happy to say that so far the Malacca state government has been very supportive, and for that we appreciate very much.
In fact, if the event will not be like what it is today, if not for the Malacca state government as well as the Negri state government.
Yes.
All right, I would really love to chat with you guys for more time, but we only have that much time, and I really enjoy speaking to you guys. Thank you so much for being with Agenda Awani today and sharing your experiences on this Raptor Watch 2014. Baiklah, itu dia tadi Lim Auntia, pengerusi Majlis Pemeliharaan Burung, dan juga Mark Ng, iaitu koordinator kumpulan burung cawangan Selangor, membincangkan tentang acara Raptor Watch 2014 yang sedang berlangsung di Tanjung Tuan, Port Dickson pada hari ini 8 Mac dan juga 9 Mac. Teruskan menonton Astro Awani. Saya Izzah Islan. Assalamualaikum dan salam. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.